All right, incoming border czar Tom Homan vowing to build family facilities as he looks to deport illegal migrants and their U.S.-born children, saying, quote, "You knew you were in the country illegally and chose to have a child, so you put your family in that position. We need to show the American people we can do this and not be inhumane about it. We can't lose the faith of the American people." New York Post reporter Jennie Taer joins us now to talk about this. So, Jennie, there are lots of accusations about what this is going to look like. What does your reporting say about how this program is going to play out?
Right. Well, I think the media right now is trying to paint this picture. They're already starting with, this is going to be massive sweeps that Trump is bringing in. That could not be further from the truth from what we're hearing from the Trump transition team and people like Tom Homan. They don't have the resources right now, nor will they in the future, to be able to deport all of the people who are here illegally. That's just not realistic. So the real priority for them is the criminal illegal immigrants, and there's about 600,000 of them that are currently roaming the country on ICE's non-detained docket. And we can also take this back to the Biden administration, which in fact did try or say they were trying to remove families through this expedited removal family program. And what ended up happening in that program is, yes, they put ankle monitors on heads of household to track families, but then they ended up allowing 90% of them to stay. So they did say they were doing it, but they didn't in contrast.
It seems like they're gaming the system a little bit when they come here illegally and then have children and then take advantage of the goodwill of Americans. You mentioned that there are a number of people on the ICE docket for deportation, non-detained docket. That number is 700,000 almost. How long do you think that's going to take? And what are you hearing about the resource management in terms of who they're targeting to get these people out of the country?
Right. Well, right now, ICE only has tens of thousands of beds. I mean, Tom Homan wants to grow that to over 100,000. That's going to be a big task, but we know that he's going to leverage the military to help with some of the administrative tasks in accomplishing that. We know that he's going to set up these family detention centers, like you said, and so they are trying to leverage everything they can, but being able to deport all of those targets is just going to be impossible. In fact, 700,000, 600,000 is going to be a task to do in a year. But we know that the priority of that administration is going to be those criminals. Mm-hmm. And Tom Homan even says, sanctuary jurisdictions are not going to get in the way of that. Yes, they may try. Yes, they're currently trying their best. The state of Oregon has put out a guide to tell illegal migrants how to react when ICE knocks on the door and comes in their house.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, they're not going to, let that stop them.
Well, you talk about the criminals that the incoming administration wants to target, the criminals outside of simply crossing the border illegally and committing additional crimes. One of the ringleaders from the El Paso Migrant Riot, who was previously released by the feds, has been caught 8 months later during a traffic stop in Des Moines, Iowa. You saw that riot back in March firsthand. So can you tell us about how he's just been living in the country, went from the border in El Paso to Iowa after instigating a riot to run past the National Guard?
Right. I mean, this is personal to me. I was the sole reporter down there covering this riot. It became national news and I believe, helped make immigration a huge topic this election. But unfortunately, the results of this are nothing but injustice. And that's according to my law enforcement sources who say this just completely emboldens this kind of behavior at the border. We had this illegal migrant who was released by the feds. We actually had 2 ringleaders released by the feds. Luckily, one was nabbed. But one made his way all the way to Iowa after saying he was going to Arizona. On top of that, more than half of the rioters have been released by the feds. So what does this do? Again, it just encourages more such behavior.
Yeah, well, it seems like things are going to change with Trump and Homan in charge, and we look forward to more of your reporting. Jennie Taer, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.